Hey, everybody, welcome to episode one of Why It Matters. This is a show for people in Louisiana, specifically in District 4, where myself, Matt Gromlich, and my co-host, Lynn Robinson, get together and we just talk about some information in the news that's important for people in District 4. So, thanks, Lynn, for doing this with me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Lynn. About a month ago, the Supreme Court decided that Louisiana's congressional maps were unconstitutional. Here is why it matters. So, Matt, when the Supreme Court made this decision, it left the door wide open for Governor Landry to say, "Wait, let's halt these elections right now." And I know that had a an effect on you because we were in the middle of an election where you were actually,
On the ballot.
yes.
Yeah.
So
So just like you said, we were already on the ballot. We were in the middle of an election. The Supreme Court decided our maps were unconstitutional, and then the governor halted our election so that they could draw a new map. And so the first article that we want to talk about today is that the Louisiana legislature, as they met throughout May, they decided on a new map, and it was signed into law last week by the governor. In District 4, they took away Lincoln, Jackson, Wynne, Grant, Rapides, and Ouachita Parish from the original District 4 map. They added in the rest of Caddo, and they added in Natchitoches to District 4. So now this new map, if you're in District 4, those six parishes were removed, and then Caddo and Natchitoches were added in. So if you are in those six districts that were removed, you're now in District 5. So it's a whole, for those people, it's a whole new group of potential candidates that you need to get to know. And then for me, we've already done a lot of campaigning throughout the original District 4. Now we need to go to Natchitoches because that's been added into our district. So we're going there hopefully in the next week or so and keep an eye out. Yeah, and that's why we're doing, this series is to let people know what's happening in our district. And a lot of people who typically are not involved in politics, you go to work, you have a family, you're, making dinner, you're driving, you're going to sports, you don't have time to keep track of all of the crazy changes that have been happening at this, political level. And so we want to make sure that we're providing the information to the people in this video series so that they don't have to figure out everything and like scour the news if they don't have the time. We're pulling it all together and letting people know what's most important, over the last few days.
yes, and I feel like now more than ever, local elections are so important because, and the reason I'm mentioning this is because you said something about getting the word out.
Mhm.
And Governor Landry's decision has affected us all.
Yes,
And also,
every raise matters. We need to show up for every single raise because we see the impacts of this gubernatorial race on every single election.
yes, yes. And it's not going to just be, it's not going to just stop here in Louisiana. The Supreme Court's decision is going to um, affect other states as well. It's not going to just stop here. And on that note about the governor, there's also a petition that's being signed, and hopefully will we be able to link the um, information about how to get your
Mhm.
name on that petition
Yes. Yep. So you're talking about the petition to recall the governor.
to recall the governor? Yes, so that we can kind of make up for, well, it won't make up for those of us that set out, but we can still do something.
Yeah.
And a lot of us feel like there's nothing that can be done. The damage has already been done, and a lot of damage has been done. But just like they are rolling back our voting rights, we can also roll back some of the damage that has been done by electing specific officials into office. In Louisiana, data centers are popping up all over the place. Matt, could you tell us why that matters?
Data centers are a really big issue right now across the country, but especially across the South. And there's so many facets of the data center conversation that we can have. So I don't know, Lynn, where you want to start on this because there's so much that is wrong with how they're rolling out, implementing, and building these data centers.
How about starting with transparency? Because that seems to be a hot button topic right now.
Transparency, yes, huge issue, especially in Northwest Louisiana. We have this article that will link about data centers in Shreveport, where the mayor of Morringsport and two others actually filed a lawsuit against the city of Shreveport, citing a lack of transparency. A lot of what we've seen is that we have government officials that are elected into these positions that are signing non-disclosure agreements for data centers to come into our cities and towns and parishes. And so on April 21st, a judge ruled that the city of Shreveport could build the data center, even though there's all these fears of this lack of transparency. It's kind of crazy that we have government officials signing non-disclosure agreements with private organizations. Shouldn't that be public information?
That absolutely should be public information.
There's so many issues and there's so much uncertainty with these data centers and what they're going to do. So, number one, how is it going to impact the environment? And we know that in a lot of other states where these have been rolled out, they have not done environmental impact studies. I did read an article where it said that they are going to require, I think it was Amazon as well, to do an environmental impact study. But if the company is doing their own study, that doesn't really seem like that's transparent. Then there
Absolutely.
should be
I mean,
some, yeah,
they're going to make it to where, yeah, they look like they're not the bad guy.
of
They're
course.
not going to say, hey, yeah, we're creating hotspots in your neighborhoods.
Hmm.
And that's one of those things that I had actually heard as far as data centers are concerned. I saw a PBS special that was done recently in Abilene, Texas, about a data center that was there. And they were mentioning that data centers actually create these things that are called heat islands. And what that does is it increases the temperature of the area that the data centers are in. And here in Louisiana, we can't afford any higher temperatures.
No.
We can't afford that would be devastating to
Hmm.
the residents here. It would be devastating to uh, anybody in Louisiana because it's a hot, dry climate.
Yes. Well, and think about wildlife too. I mean, a lot of people in Louisiana, especially in rural Louisiana, they hunt and they fish as a part of life, like as a part for food. And so, how are these data centers going to impact the environment and the flora and the fauna that we have? How is that going to impact people who actually use the animals that we have for food?
Yes.
It's a huge issue
Oh,
that I think a lot of people haven't thought about.
yes. And the air quality.
Air
That's
quality.
another thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's part of the environmental thing, just piggybacking off of
Yeah.
that. Um, there's enough pollution here. And I'm going to say this because we all benefit from the data centers. And the way that we benefit, and I'm definitely not talking financially, we do need that cloud storage. But and not just cloud storage, we utilize AI all the time. And so that's another facet of it. And the reason that so many are popping up is because of the continued growth of and use of AI. And it's not something that's going away. It's only going to get bigger, which means that they are going to constantly have a need for a place to store this data,
Yep.
which means that there are going to be data centers all over the United States before long.
Yeah, it's so hard. I think AI is here and people are using it in a lot of good ways, a lot of bad ways. Technology itself isn't bad. The use of it could be. But the fear, the frustration, the hesitancy that I have is the lack of transparency, the lack of environmental studies, how is it going to impact us? And we didn't even talk about water quality yet and water access.
Yeah.
Because as we all know in this area, the water quality in Northwest Louisiana, not great. Failed water inspections multiple times. We have to boil water often. And then we just have like a small amount of water. And so all these data centers coming in, how are they going to use our water? And in what processes are they going to use to make sure that we still have water? And if these are popping up all over, I mean, water is a super valuable resource.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Matt, I heard that just a mid-sized data center uses over 300,000 gallons of water per day.
Yeah.
Now, that's a lot of water. I don't know if it's recycled, and they can utilize it for longer than that. But in order to cool these mega processors,
Hmm.
that water's needed. And data centers are saying that there are other ways that they can cool their processors. I don't exactly know the specifics on that, but as far as the water is concerned, my concern level is where are they getting this water from? Is it going to cause water pollution?
Hmm.
Um, these are the real questions that the citizens want to know.
And we
Um,
deserve to know.
so, yes, we deserve to know that. And
Hmm.
so transparency is a must. There've got to be some laws on the books or that require transparency from these data centers they can even before they can even break ground
Yep,
in a specific location. There's just got to be.
absolutely. And then there's also the factor of the transparency on who is getting the contracts and then who's going to get the employment. And so I've talked to different unions here in town where it seems like some of the data centers, depending on who is owning them, they have their own crew. So there's this theory that the infrastructure build would bring jobs to Louisiana. Well, not if they're bringing in their own crew from wherever.
Exactly.
Yeah, some of them are, and it seems like it's about half and half, that about half of them are going to use local Louisiana unions and employees, and then the other half, they're just like bringing in their own people, even for the build, which is crazy because it's like presented to us as, oh, there's all these jobs that are going to come in from it. It's going to be worth it. Well, we've seen in places that that's not true. And then the question is who's getting the permanent job? How many permanent jobs, and then who's getting them? And the problem that we've seen across the country is that when you get to that level, there are only a certain amount of people that have the credentials to be able to get those jobs. And so these data centers tend to hire people from across the country, across the world to come in for those jobs. When in reality, what we should be doing is working with the local universities or job workforce development programs to say, how do we train the residents in this area to be eligible for those jobs when the data centers are built?
And funny enough on that, every video that I've seen of people touring data centers, there's nobody in
Very
them.
empty. Hmm.
So where are the workers? Where are they located
Hmm.
if they're bringing in permanent jobs? So
Yeah.
that's my question on that. And another good thing as far as transparency is concerned, the only good thing is that uh, people in other states that have already gotten to experience the ramifications of having these data centers there, they're able to relay the messages and their
Hmm.
concerns onto us so that we can at least have a little bit of information since the companies aren't as forthcoming as they should be. And whoever is agreeing on these contracts are not making them be forthcoming. So
Hmm.
yeah, and I think that maybe later on we're going to be the people that are giving warnings and voicing our concerns to the next states that end up having a crop of data centers getting ready to pop up in them.
Absolutely. And I think this ties back to the discussion we were having about the maps and the power that the governor has in the state. Where if you look at especially Virginia and New Jersey, who they just elected new governors in this last November, where those women were able to go in and really force the data centers to be transparent and to be held accountable. So the governor has so much power if they're wanting and able to wield it. So we need a strong governor who's not going to let the companies run all over them, who's actually going to hold them accountable. Yeah.
That was the question that I wanted to ask you also. Where will Amazon Web be getting their water supply from?
From what I've read, I mean, some from the river and then some being transported in from Texas.
So they are going to bust some water in here then.
They have to. I don't think that we have enough for everything they're trying to do.
Not for residents and for
No.
data campuses that they plan
Hmm.
on building.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you mentioned the processes, like do they reuse the water? And there are two different types of processes that they can use to cool. One is like evaporative cooling, where literally the water evaporates and disappears. The other is more of a cycle where it gets like, cooled and reused. Of course, that's more expensive. And so which process are these data centers going to use? If there are no regulations, they're going to use the cheaper one.
The cheapest one?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're here to make money.
Hmm.
Make no mistake about that.
Right.
That's the bottom line. In the event that SWIFTCO is not being completely forthcoming, how do you feel that it might affect uh, residents' electricity bills, just based on what other states that have had data centers come
Mhm.
in have said?
Yeah, we've seen that in other states that it has caused consumer electricity bills to increase. And
Okay.
again, I think that goes back to having strong people in power that are going to hold these companies accountable, where our bills should not increase because there's a data center. They should be able to cover their own electrical usage. And really, they should be subsidizing our electrical usage for allowing us to be here. Like, what benefit are you to us if you're going to destroy our environment, not use our people, and then cause our prices to increase?
They claim that strengthening our power grid by them donating to the infrastructure or paying for infrastructure to strengthen our power grid is their donation. I guess that's how they feel. But in actuality, they're strengthening it so that they can utilize it. Because I think that without us having a stronger system, there's no way that we can currently run these data centers. Because if your area is anything like mine, if it rains too hard, our electricity goes out. So how strong could our electrical grid really be?
Absolutely. I've lived in a bunch of different states. My dad was in the military, so I moved around every few years. I've never lived somewhere where the power went out so often during rainstorms. Like just
Mhm.
rainstorms. Nothing.
Yes.
It's crazy. So yeah, they're not doing this to be kind. These companies are coming in. They need a power system that they can count on. And so if they need to do upgrades, it's for them. It's not for us. Come on.
1000%.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I was just curious as to what you thought
So
about that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean we've seen in other states that people's electrical bills have gone up, substantially until lawmakers get into office, and again in New Jersey especially, um, with Mikey Sherrill coming in and really holding these people accountable, these companies accountable. We have to have strong leaders that will hold organizations and companies accountable and not let them be the boss.
Absolutely. And like I said, I believe that needs to be put into law that it is just absolutely illegal
Mhm.
for them to pass on the cost of data center usage of utilities of any sort, including the water, onto residents of the state
Absolutely.
because we struggle enough with the current electric bill rate.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, these companies are going to exploit any place that they go unless there's strong leadership, strong governance against them. We have to have regulations put on these companies to make sure that they're paying their fair share, that they are at least interacting with the environment in a net neutral way and then hopefully a positive way. But if we don't, they won't care. All they care about is profit. You need your money to make the board happy. And so they're going to cut corners and they're not going to help our environment at all. And it's going to, unless there are regulations put into place, it's going to cause worse water quality than we've seen. And it is bad sometimes right now. Can it get worse? Yes. We've seen in Michigan how bad the water can be. It can be worse. Everything can be worse if we don't have regulations placed.
Okay. Well, Matt, thanks for all the fantastic answers you've given me to some of the concerns that I have about data centers
I
coming
don't know if
to those
they're
stores.
positive answers or not.
Oh, well, I just appreciate, somebody else's insight. I can look all I want, but sometimes different people have different perspectives. You can read the same information and have a completely different outlook on what you read. And sometimes it's good to hear what somebody else thinks about
Mhm.
the same thing.
Well, that's
So, yeah,
part of why we're doing this, right?
yeah,
Is that everybody, you have your own background, your own perspective, your own story, your own framework, where you're coming from. And so it is good to hear other people and how they react to and think about and process information. And yeah, we're here to talk about it and to give our perspective. And then hopefully in the comments, like people can give their perspective and we can have a community that's actually talking about the issues instead of these people who are under NDAs and can't talk about it, or companies who are likely lying to us or obfuscating the truth. And the same with career politicians who want the next election. Like, let's talk about and be completely genuine and honest and open about what's happening.
yes. And I would love to hear from the audience if you think data centers will be um, environmentally friendly to the area, if you think it will, what type of impact it will have on the area. And I'm specifically talking about District 4 right now, but also if you're from another state and data centers have come in and you have been affected by it directly or indirectly, leave your comments below also. I'd love to hear them.
Hmm.
Recently, on a radio show, Mike Johnson said that he felt that entitlement programs were on autopilot and they needed to be adjusted and fixed. He also stated that the Republican Party would do something about it next year. Why next year? I don't know. But Matt, tell us why that matters.
Lynn, this is crazy that they're so brazen and bold. Now they're saying the quiet parts out loud. So and specifically Mike Johnson talked about Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. It's hard to find words, truly, to talk about like how repugnant this is. So,
I can find some words.
John, you can jump in with any word.
Oh, I could find some words. Mike Johnson is always on demon time. And if you understand what I'm talking about, well, if you know, you know. He's on demon time. When he said that, I felt it. Like this man is just pure evil. And the problem that I have with what he said is that as far as Social Security is concerned, Medicare, as soon as you get your first paycheck when you're 17 years old, you've got to pay into Medicare and Social Security, if I'm not mistaken. The only exceptions are if you work for the railroad, if you work for the state, or if you work for, is it federal government, Matt?
I
I
believe
believe if you
some,
work
yeah,
for the Fed.
there's some, even some like, yeah, some state and federal positions that are exempted.
You have paid into it your entire life. And Mike Johnson wants to play on words, as does a lot of other Republicans. And they've called it an entitlement program for the longest. But that's fine with me. If you call it entitlement, I don't care. Because if I go into a store and I'm purchasing an iPhone or whatever I'm purchasing and I give you my money, I'm entitled to get my product.
Hmm. Hmm.
If I buy insurance, which is what Social Security, which is what you do when you pay for Social Security, it's an insurance. If I buy insurance and my parent dies, I plan on collecting for the life insurance that I paid. The whole point of insurance is to insure in case something happens. And so I'm going to expect to get what I feel like I am entitled to.
Hmm.
So that's just my view on that part. That's just like a snippet
Yeah.
of my view on that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Matt, you can jump in because I'm a little bit passionate about uh that, considering uh there are ways in which we could actually fund this program that they don't want to talk about.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, well, let me let you say whatever it is you want to say, and then I'll jump back in
Okay,
also.
perfect, perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
there's so much here. So let's talk about Social Security. As you said, they've the Republican Party is really good at making terms and words bad and like assigning a negative connotation to something that is positive. So like DEI, woke, and now entitlement. So, like, entitlement, as you said, means that you are entitled to because it is your money. You just let the government hold on to it for a little bit until you get to retirement age. And people who don't pay into Social Security cannot draw from Social Security. It is your money. They follow you. They keep track of you from your Social Security number, from your jobs that you've paid into. You can see the amount of money you've paid into. So you are entitled to, you are owed, you are deserving of this money that you have paid. You've just let the government borrow it interest free, basically. So there,
And Matt,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
No,
to
no,
cut
you
you
go,
off.
you go.
On my mind right then when you said something. Um, Nobody is getting rich off of Social Security
No,
benefits.
no,
So don't ever think that, to the people that don't understand Social Security.
no.
And there's definitely a path forward in order to keep Social Security around. But the truth of the matter is that there's a cap on. I know that there's like $185,000. That's the cap, or 184,500, something like that.
And it
That's
changes.
the cap as far as your earned income being.
Tax for
What,
Social Security purposes. Yeah. Yes.
why was that so hard to find that word? Okay, I
No, no,
told you I lose
yeah.
words sometimes.
No, you're right. So
I lose words. It's so weird.
yeah,
Um,
when you look at your earned income, all of it is taxed by the federal government for their taxes, but there is a cap on the Social Security side. Why?
exactly.
There doesn't
Um,
have to be.
and rich people, of course, they don't need these Social Security benefits because there's only so much that you'll actually be able to draw out as far as a monthly payment, as it stands. But I do feel like if Joe Blow over here is making 180,000 a year, and he's paying his um fair share, his percentage. I forgot what the percentage is, but if he's paying his percentage, then why is it that a person that's making $600,000 is paying the exact same amount of taxes that a person that's making $180,000 is paying? Because his is capped at the exact same amount. So they're having to pay the same thing. So why is that?
Right. Yeah. Again, to clarify, when it comes to the Social Security side. So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then like not even the 600,000, the person that makes $10 million, their tax, the money that they're paying on taxes into the Social Security fund is the same as the person paying 180,000. Like that's the crazy thing.
Yes.
This is an investment in our government. This is like a loan basically to our government, interest-free loan that we're then going to get back when we retire because we care about our government and making things run and our population.
Mhm.
But to make entitlement, this is like entitlement term negative is just so disgusting because this
It,
is money that people worked hard for and loaned to our government because we had a promise that we would get it back in retirement. And like you said, it's not tons of money. Like it was never meant to be a full retirement amount. It is a supplement to whatever else you're doing in retirement.
absolutely. And since we're on the subject of Mike Johnson and him saying that this thing needs to be reformed, Mike Mike Johnson said that it would be reformed next year, that they would approach this next year.
Yeah.
But the way that he used his terminology, he made it seem like they have a plan.
Mhm.
So why not roll out that plan and let us know what it is right now? What are your thoughts on why he may not be rolling out that plan now?
Electoral fallout.
Hmm. Okay, that's a good answer because I feel the exact same way.
Hmm.
He knows that it's going to affect how people um how people vote for this election, this
Absolutely.
upcoming election.
Hmm.
Because for some reason, uh some people are still believing that this administration has their best interest at heart, even though they've seen time and time again that that is absolutely not the case.
Hmm.
And one of the other things that he said was he only that people were misinterpreting what he said, and he only plans to look at waste, fraud, and abuse. Now, Matt, where have we heard that before?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they talked about that, when Elon came in.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yes.
Doge cut.
Yep.
And do you see how well that went?
Yeah, it actually cost us money. It cost the taxpayers money. It cost more money to pay these people to come in to find waste, fraud, and abuse than the actual waste, fraud, and abuse that they found.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
if you listen to the interviews, like the outgoing interviews with a lot of the underling Doge people, the resounding theme was it's crazy how lean our government actually is, how really few instances of waste, fraud, and abuse there actually are in our government. Governmental employees, they don't make tons of money and they do a lot with the money that they have. So the waste, fraud, and abuse is not in these like governmental agencies and it's not in Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. There are other areas of waste, fraud, and abuse and corruption that we can talk about. And I think that'll be
Absolutely.
our next podcast, our next video, is we can talk about some of the corruption that's happening and like literally stealing from taxpayers.
I
But
would
Social
love that.
Security and Medicaid and Medicare, like that's not where it's happening. Just something else is as I'm, running for office and talking to people, I'm doing this, and I would want to hope that like people that go into service roles, which is what governmental roles are, elected positions are, they are a service to your constituents or your community, that you like actually care about the people in your community. And specifically Mike Johnson talking about cutting all of these programs or these aids, these are people. These are actual people in your community that you are taking away healthcare from, and you're taking away maybe like the only $600 a month that they get to live on. Like these are
One of the poorest states, I might add.
in one of the poorest states in one of the poorest districts. And so it's just like how as a human can you look at the people that you represent and say, okay, you don't have a lot right now, and I'm going to take even more from you. Like this seriously is going to result in more deaths. It's going to result in more people going into debt, more people getting below poverty lines. Like these are super vulnerable, the most vulnerable members of our society, and you're taking even more from them. So it's like how do you justify that to yourself? How do you rationalize that? How do you say uh and not that like everybody has to be a Christian, but Mike Johnson says he's a Christian. Like how, if you are a Christian, can you make these statements knowing that it's going to be like hurting the people that we should be caring about the most? It's just like it's so upsetting and sad and indefensible.
Absolutely. And Mike Johnson is on demon time. So you could cut that out if you want to, but yeah, every time somebody says Christian and Mike Johnson in the same sentence, that's the only thing I can think about now.
Yeah. Yeah, my goal in running and in having these discussions and in talking to people in the community, like we need people in office who care about other people, who care about the people in our society, and who don't look at these programs as just the numbers. Like behind every number, that's a person. That's a real person who you're talking about, taking things away from and making their lives more difficult, more complicated. And I don't know, it's crazy that he said that.
Man, I am going to say something right here. When you based off of what you just said, it reminded me of why I decided to rock with you. I heard you say that you were not voting. I mean, you were not running to basically be against Republicans, but you said instead that you were running to be for the district. And that is really what sealed the deal for me as far as saying, hey, yeah, this is the candidate for me. This is the person that I think is going to be best for Louisiana. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep sending the message that you're sending. I know I could be a little bit brash sometimes, but um, as far as your sincerity and the way that you care for the residents of District 4 and for Louisiana in general, that is what we need in someone that is going to represent us in the House. So keep that energy.
Thank you.
So you're more than welcome.
Well, Mike Johnson continues to shoot himself in the foot. I know that he will be in the news continuously, so we will talk about him more next time. He even just this week he said three things that are ridiculous. So follow me on all my socials. I have a bunch of videos about that as well. He's talked about inflation, but I think we'll move on from Mike Johnson for now. And Lynn, so we had some like three stories, three topics that were a little heavy, but I also just want to make sure that we're talking about and highlighting the greatness of Louisiana District 4, Shreveport area. And we know that there's some amazing people that have been here, that have come out of here, and that are still living here. So can you talk about the amazing news that just happened?
Yes, we want to give a special shout out to Zhailon Livingston. The reason that that's important is because Zhailon is from Shreveport. He's a Shreveport native.
Mhm.
The other reason is because he just won a Tony for Best Direction of a Musical, Cats, the Jellicle Ball.
Yes.
So, congratulations to Zhailon.
Congratulations.
Also, I would also like to give a shout out to his mom, Shannon Livingston, who is not only my sorority sister, but she's also my former classmate. So, Shannon, you did great with Jaylon, and congratulations to you also.
Yes, it's so exciting. I love musicals. I love theater. The Tony Awards are always one of the best nights of the year. So it's so cool that we have people from the Shreveport area, from District 4, from Louisiana, really making headlines in a positive way to outweigh maybe some of the negative headlines from people coming out of Louisiana. So we have it all here, and it's really important to celebrate all of the amazing opportunities and people and organizations that we have right here, homegrown in Louisiana in District 4. Well, Lynn, this has been an awesome first episode. Thank you so much for doing this with me. It has been a lot of fun. I know that we'll get even better as we go through it, but anything that you want to say as we kind of wrap up?
No, I just appreciate everyone that's tuned in, and I hope that they will continue to tune in and see what we have to offer the public and see what type of information we could give you that we feel are of value to you as a Louisiana resident. And if you're not a Louisiana resident, believe me, our politics impacts not just Louisiana, it impacts everywhere, as you could see with the Supreme Court's decision recently.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Make sure that you like, subscribe, donate, volunteer, all of the things, all of the links will be posted below. And thanks for listening.
Thank you.